Absolutely. All right. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So we're continuing to study Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. We're on, I'm a little confused. Is this chapter 13? Is that what this is?
It's the freedom of the soul. That's what it says, Brother Shankara. I don't know which chapter it is.
I thought it was Immortality. I thought we were reading Immortality.
No, I think we are on page 194, the freedom. Oh, let me see. Maybe you're right. You're right.
Immortality.
Immortality. Yes,
Yeah.
You're right.
All right.
And I was here last week, so I'm pretty sure my bookmark's in the right place. Yeah, that'd be
Yes,
page
yes.
250.
Yes, 250. That's right.
Okay, very good. Okay.
You're right, Brother Shankara.
You know, having been in the hospital and all that business, I was a little confused myself. But I was pretty sure this was it. Okay, so Swami, this says delivered in America. I suspect that this was delivered in San Francisco. The last of his lectures on Jnana Yoga were offered in San Francisco. So before we begin, are there any comments or questions that anyone would like to make? Anything like that you'd like to offer from your own experience and wisdom, or any concern or question you'd like to raise? All right, Brahmadas, I'm very glad you're willing to read for us this evening, because my voice really isn't quite up to it. I'll break in, as you know, from time to time to add whatever I think I can add, or to pause for questions and comments. So please proceed, Brahmadas.
What question has been asked a great number of times? What idea has led man more to search the universe for an answer? What question is nearer and dearer to the human heart? What question is more inseparably connected with our existence than this one, the immortality of the human soul? It has been the theme of poets and sages, of priests and prophets. Kings on the throne have discussed it. Beggars in the street have dreamt of it. The best of humanity have approached it, and the worst of men have hoped for it. The interest in the theme has not died yet, nor will it die, so long as human nature exists. Various answers have been presented to the world by various minds. Thousands, again in every period of history, have given up the discussion, and yet the question remains fresh as ever. Often, in the turmoil and struggle of our lives, we seem to forget it. But suddenly someone dies, one perhaps whom we loved, one near and dear to our hearts is snatched away from us. And the struggle, the din and turmoil of the world around us cease for a moment, and the soul asks the old question, what after this? What becomes of the soul? All human knowledge proceeds out of experience. We cannot know anything except by experience. All our reasoning is based upon generalized experience. All our knowledge is but harmonized experience. Looking around us, what do we find? A continuous change. The plant comes out of the seed, grows into the tree, completes the circle, and comes back to the seed. The animal comes, lives a certain time, dies, and completes the circle. So does man. The mountains slowly but surely crumble away. The rivers slowly but surely dry up. Rains come out of the sea and go back to the sea. Everywhere, circles are being completed. Birth, growth, development, and decay following each other with mathematical precision. This is our everyday experience. Inside of it all, behind all this vast mass of what we call life, of millions of forms and shapes, millions upon millions of varieties, beginning from the lowest atom to the highest spiritualized man, we find existing a certain unity. Every day, we find that the wall that was thought to be dividing one thing and another is being broken down, and all matter is coming to be recognized by modern science as one substance manifesting in different ways and various forms. The one life that runs through all like a continuous chain, of which all these various forms represent the links, link after link, extending almost infinitely, but one of the same chain. This is what is called evolution. It is an old idea, as old as human society, only it is getting fresher and fresher as human knowledge is progressing. There is one thing more, which the ancients perceived, but which in modern times is not yet so clearly perceived, and that is involution. The seed is becoming the plant. A grain of sand never becomes a plant. It is the father that becomes a child. A lump of clay never becomes a child. From what does this evolution come, is the question. What was the seed? It was the same as the tree. All the possibilities of a future tree are in that seed. All the possibilities of a future man are in the little baby. All the possibilities of any future life are in the germ. What is this? The ancient philosophers of India called it involution. We find then that every evolution presupposes an involution. Nothing can be evolved which is not already there. Here again, modern science comes to our help. You know by mathematical reasoning that the sum total of the energy that is displayed in the universe is the same throughout. You cannot take away one atom of matter or 1 foot-pound of force. You cannot add the universe 1 atom of matter or 1 foot-pound of force. As such, evolution does not come out of zero. Then where does it come from? From previous involution. The child is the man involved, and the man is the child evolved. The seed is the tree involved, and the tree is the seed evolved. All the possibilities of life are in the germ. The problem becomes clearer. Add to it the first idea of continuation of life. From the lowest protoplasm to the most perfect human being, there is really but one life. Just as in one life, we have so many various phases of expression, the protoplasm developing into the baby, the child, the young man, the old man. So from the protoplasm up to the most perfect man, we get one continuous life, one chain. This is evolution, but we have seen that each evolution presupposes an involution. The whole of this life, which slowly manifests itself, evolves itself from the protoplasm to the perfected human being. The incarnation of God on earth, the whole of this series is but one life, and the whole of this manifestation must have been involved in that very protoplasm. This whole life, this very God on earth, was involved in it and slowly came out, manifesting itself slowly. Slowly, slowly. The highest expression must have been there in the germ state in minute form. Therefore, this one force, this whole chain, is the involution of that cosmic life which is everywhere. It is this one mass of intelligence which is from the protoplasm up to the most perfected man, is slowly and slowly uncoiling itself. Not that it grows. Take off all ideas of growth from your mind. With the idea of growth is associated something coming from outside, something extraneous, which would give the lie to the truth that the infinite, which lies latent in every life, is independent of all external conditions. It can never grow. It was always there and only manifests itself. The effect is the cause manifested. There is no essential difference between the effect and the cause. Take this glass, for instance. There was the material, and that material plus the will of the manufacturer made the glass. And these two were its causes and are present in it. In what form is the will present? As adhesion. If the force were not here, each particle would fall away. What is the effect then? It is the same as the cause, only taking different form, a different composition. When the cause is changed and limited for a time, it becomes the effect. We must remember this, applying it to our idea of life. The whole of the manifestation of this one series, from the protoplasm up to the most perfect man, must be the very same thing as cosmic life.
Hold on. Let's leave it there for the moment. You'll see that the Swami is just working at this idea of, remember, the topic is immortality, the human soul, its immortal status. You can see the Swami is working very hard to convince us that there is no such thing as an outward effect, an evolved effect, without an involved cause. So I just want to make sure that everyone is comfortable with this, that they feel they have clarity about it, or that they have something to say about it from their own wisdom and experience, about some experience of involution and evolution. Any questions or concerns or any comments to make from anyone?
Did this talk come before or after Darwin's theory of evolution?
After.
But the evolution here, it seems to have a different meaning.
Yes and no. If you go back, I think, to chapter 7, maybe 6, and read that again, I believe the Swami talks about Darwin and compares his Swami's idea of evolution with Darwin's. And he doesn't argue with Darwin. He simply says that there is more to it than what Darwin recognized. Thank you, Ramadas. That was right on point. Anything else from anyone?
Was it Shankara? Hi,
Yes,
it's Ramesh here.
yes.
So when it says that, wait a minute, I lost. Okay. The whole of this life, which slowly manifests itself, evolves itself from the protoplasm to the perfected human being, the incarnation of God on earth. The whole of this series is but one life, and the whole of this manifestation must have been involved in that very protoplasm. What is the reference to the protoplasm here?
Well, the protoplasm is the germ or the seed of life.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying is, just as the entire banyan tree is contained in that tiny seed of a banyan tree, all the information, all of the instructions for creating a new banyan tree are in that tiny seed. Banyan seeds are tiny. It's really quite amazing to think. Those of you who lived in the presence of banyan trees know they grow to be huge, acres. So what he's saying is, in that same sense, all of the information, all of the instructions, all of the what will be manifest is contained in that germ or protoplasm. Now, protoplasm was a quite a popular term in the time that Swami was there because it was a relatively recent discovery.
So where did the first protoplasm? Because if there is no evolution, it always existed, right?
No. If you go back further in the Swami's talks, I think in the talk on the macrocosm, you'll see that he says that all of this information that resulted in the protoplasm existed at the time of the dawn, what we would poetically call the dawn of creation. It was all there. So, but now he's talking about manifest life. You know, what was there in the beginning was nothing but plasma, which is not a thing but a form of energy. As it cooled and condensed, everything that has now become over the last 14 billion years was contained in what condensed from that plasma. So the protoplasm is simply an inevitable expression of life. What we think about, we use words like life force and so on. All the information to produce it was contained in what began. And that is also the conclusion of the physicists, modern physicists, that nothing came from outside the system. It was all in the system. The only argument the physicists have is whether there's a consciousness behind that, or whether consciousness arises out of the fact that it evolves. We'll let them settle that among themselves. But the protoplasm and all the information for the protoplasm was contained in the plasma that was the result of what we call the Big Bang, and what Vedanta calls Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha bursts, and out of that incredible energy comes Jagat. Now, a very logical and very left brain comfortable explanation for this is in Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya describes this in great detail. There's a short summary of it at the back of Swami Prabhavananda's Gita, called The Cosmology of the Gita. And what was in Vedanta is called Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic egg. In Sankhya is called the great cause, or Mahat. As Swami Prabhavananda would say when asked about this, yes, there are subtle differences in the philosophy of these two, but they're distinctions without a real difference. Don't worry about it. So, if you wish to know the details of how this information, which represents itself as the three gunas, becomes everything that we see, it's very carefully explained in Sankhya. Sankhya, according to Sri Krishna, Sankhya was offered to us by the same being that was Krishna in an earlier time appeared as the sage Kapila. He says this in, I don't know what chapter it's in, but you'll find this in the Gita, that Krishna says he was Kapila. So all of this as I say, the Sankhya is very left brain comfortable. It'll remind you when you study it of chemistry, and most specifically the periodic table. Anything else, Somesh?
No, I will study more about in Sankhya. So thank you.
And the idea that everything was potential from the moment creation occurred, when the unmanifest became the manifest. It was a long answer, but I hope it made some sense.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else from anyone?
How do you define involution?
Involution is the fact that everything is contained within the banyan tree is involved in the seed. Involution, what happens is a banyan tree grows. It's the expression of the information and instructions. It's the evolution of the seed that produced it. It then involves all of that information again in the seeds it produces. So everything for a new banyan tree is contained in the seed. So that everything contained is the involution.
Okay, I think I understand.
Well, it bears some contemplation. You're right, Brahmadas. The human being is contained, is involved in the sperm and the egg that come together.
Right, and the DNA is the blueprint, and I think that would be an involution.
That's the instructions. Yes, that's the information and instructions. We've discovered this. Yes, and there's DNA in a banyan seed as well. So this is the material construction of the instructions and information for the evolution.
So the involution almost seems like the idea, and the evolution is the manifestation of that idea.
Very good. Exactly, Brahmadas. Yes, it is, but whose idea?
Not mine.
Yeah, well, this is why the Swami brought up the example and metaphor of the glass. The glass was the result of the idea of the manufacturer. So from materials that in no way resemble a glass, they are able to fashion a glass because of the idea of glass that they have and their knowledge of how the information and instructions that they know on how to create it. The Swami will talk about this conceptual aspect of this as we go on.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
So this involution and evolution, does that happen independently for every creation, every aspect, every creature?
Swayam, you'll need to ask that question again. I did not get the intent of your question.
So does each, I guess for lack of a better way to explain, each soul or each creature goes through a separate involution, evolution, or is it
No,
all?
it's all one process. The Swami addressed that a little bit some paragraphs back. There is nothing independent there is one great cause from which all these effects arise. But they seem to us to be separate and independent. It is an illusion. In fact, it is the same Shakti, the same Prakriti in everything. And the illusion of separation is created by ourselves as the divine being. This is why the term Atman exists, or Purusha in Sankhya. It seems to be separate, but is not. Is that clear, Swam? I know this is a very fine point.
Yes, Brother Shankara, it is clear.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
Yeah, Hari Om. And that one cause would be behind not just every creature, every human being, but behind everything.
Yes.
Everything, the whole cosmos, anything and everything that we can think of.
That's an interesting way to put it, that we can think of. As you may know if you follow modern physics, they've thought of some, they've discovered some very interesting things as they thought of all this. Yes, all that we can perceive, all that we can perceive in any way. We have 5 organs of perception and 5 organs of action. Anything that we can interact with those 10 organs. Yes, so the answer to your question is yes.
Thank you.
so I just wanted to clarify one thing is that they say God is both the material cause and the efficient cause of this universe. He's nothing, he's the cause of the cause, like
He's the causeless cause.
causeless cause. Okay.
Yes. There can be no cause for that which is the unmanifest that brings about manifestation, because that would be an infinite regression. So Brahman is sometimes referred to as the causeless cause.
And I would think, Brother Shankar, that that one causeless cause takes us back to the concept that Brahman was one and he decided to be many.
Well, it may not be a decision. It may be actually a process, and I think the Swami will get to this idea. It may be simply a process of involution and evolution. The day of Brahma is the time of evolution. The night of Brahma is the time of involution. And Stephen Hawking, though he wouldn't have used these words at all, of course, was working on this idea at the time of his death. And his thesis was, he was developing the thesis that what radiates from a black hole is simply the information from which, from the material, the information that was the black holes ingest things. When they do, they tear them completely apart. There's no structure, nothing is left. No thing is left. But something radiates from black holes. And Hawking was working on the thesis that what it is that is radiating is the information from which those things. So then we have involution. So the day of Brahma is the time of anti-entropy, evolution. The night of Brahma is, so it may not be quite exactly a decision. Our language is very clumsy about these things. The cosmic mind saying, I am one, I shall become many, may simply be the germ of this evolution. And it's not something that can be, it's something to meditate on, Vijay.
Thank you. Thank you. Would it be better to use the word willed, Brahman willed?
No, this process of involution and evolution, we must not try to personalize or give attributes to Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. There is no such thing as will. Brahman is Satchidananda, absolute existence, absolute knowledge, absolute bliss or love. Brahman does not exist. Brahman is existence itself. Brahman does not know. Brahman is knowledge itself. Brahman does not love or be blissful. Brahman is love or bliss itself. This is what we're told. Now, that's something to be realized. But if you keep on keeping on, and particularly if you ask for Mother, ask the Divine Mother, this is Sri Ramakrishna speaking now. If you ask the Divine Mother for the knowledge of these things, she will give it to you. If you ask with sincerity and persistence.
Thank you. And thank you for using the word about that word personalized. Yeah, that is exactly what would happen if I use the word willed. I would be personalizing God, Brahman, one that cannot be personalized.
Well, there is the personal God within manifestation. Ishvara, Ishwari, they are the personal God. And they are said to have will.
So I wanted to clarify now this evolution and involution, does it belong, not belong, is it Brahman, Nirguna Brahman or is Saguna Brahman?
Nothing that we can think about is other than Saguna Brahman. So the fact that we can think and talk about these things makes it ipso facto Saguna Brahman within manifestation. Involution may be the totally involved state of entropy, absolute zero, the physicists call it, the complete absence of any vibration. Is beyond thought, and it can simply be gestured at. But anything we can think about or talk about is by definition within Saguna Brahma.
Thank you.
And none of us really know what is meant. If anyone does, please raise their hand and tell us. None of us really knows what is meant by the impersonal God. It's simply a term that we can use to, we know nothing, we simply know nothing of impersonality. It's not knowable in the sense. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is no mind. There is no reflection. That's what will be talked about this Sunday. There is no mirror. Without a mirror, there can be no knowledge as we understand it. Anything else before we read on? Okay, well, I think that's what this class is about, to do what we just did. I hope everyone is satisfied. We are 3/4 of the way through the hour almost. That gives us some time to go on and read another 10 minutes and maybe some more discussion. Everybody good with that? Okay, Brahmadas, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit because this sentence only makes sense in the context of the last sentence. Applying it to our idea of life, the whole of the manifestation of this one series from the protoplasm up to the most perfect man must be the very same thing as cosmic life. First, it got involved and it became finer. And out of that fine something, which was the cause, it has gone on evolving, manifesting itself and become grosser.
Becoming.
And becoming grosser. But the question of immortality is not yet settled. We have seen that everything in this universe is indestructible. There is nothing new. There will be nothing new. The same series of manifestations are presenting themselves alternately like a wheel, coming up and going down. All motion in this universe is in the form of waves, successively rising and falling. Systems after systems are coming out of fine forms, evolving themselves, and taking grosser forms again, melting down, as it were, and going back to the fine forms. Again, they rise out of that, evolving for a certain period, and slowly going back to the cause. So with all life, each manifestation of life is coming up and then going back again. What goes down? The form. The form breaks to pieces, but it comes up again. In one sense, bodies and forms even are eternal. How? Suppose that we take a number of dice and throw them, and they fall in this ratio, 6, 5, 3, 4. We take the dice up and throw them again and again. There must be a time when the same numbers will come again. The same combination must come. Now each particle, each atom that is in the universe, I take for such a die. And these are being thrown out and combined again and again. All these forms before you are one combination.
Hold on just 1 second, Brahmadas. He just gave a very brief summary of Sankhya, of the idea behind Sankhya philosophy and the going from the finer to the grosser. So if you want an inkling of what it's about, there it is. Okay?
Here are the forms of a glass, a table, a pitcher of water, and so forth. This is one combination in time. It will all break. But there must come a time when exactly the same combination comes again, when you will be here, and this form will be here, this subject will be taught, and this pitcher will be here. An infinite number of times this has been, and an infinite number of times this will be repeated. Thus far with the physical forms, what do we find? That even the combination of physical forms is eternally repeated. A most interesting conclusion that follows from this theory is the explanation of facts such as these. Some of you, perhaps, have seen a man who can read the past life of others and foretell the future. How is it possible for anyone to see what the future will be, unless there is a regulated future? Effects of the past recur in the future, and we see that it is so. You have seen the big Ferris wheel in Chicago. The wheel revolves, and the little rooms in the wheel are regularly coming one after another. One set of persons gets into these, and after they have gone round the circle, they get out, and a fresh batch of people gets in. Each one of these batches is like one of these manifestations, from the lowest animal to the highest man. Nature is like the chain of the Ferris wheel, endless and infinite. And these little carriages are the bodies or forms in which fresh bodies with souls are riding, going up higher and higher until they become perfect and come out of the wheel. But the wheel goes on. As long as the bodies are in the wheel, it can be absolutely and mathematically foretold where they will go, but not so the souls. Thus, it is possible to read the past and the future of nature with precision. We see then that there is recurrence of the same material phenomena.
Hang on just a second, Brahmadas. That might be a good place to stop for discussion, because that's bound to raise questions. Is there anyone who'd like to contribute anything from their own experience or raise any concern or question about what the Swami just said, that he summarized? Thus, it is possible to read the past and the future of nature with precision. Okay, good. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, please read on. Brahmadas?
Nature is like the chain of the Ferris wheel, endless and infinite, and these little carriages are the bodies or forms in which fresh batches of souls are riding, going up higher and higher until they become perfect and out of the wheel. But the wheel goes on, and so long as the bodies are in the wheel, it can be absolutely and mathematically foretold where they will go, but not so of the souls. Thus, it is possible to read the past and the future of nature with precision. We see then that there is recurrence of the same material phenomena at certain periods, and that the same combinations have been taking place through eternity. But that is not the immortality of the soul. No force can die, no matter can be annihilated. What becomes of it? It goes on changing backwards and forwards until it returns to the source from which it came. there is no motion in a straight line. Everything moves in a circle. A straight line, infinitely produced, becomes a circle. If that is the case, there cannot be eternal degeneration for any soul. It cannot be. Everything must complete the circle and come back to its source. What are you and I and all these souls? In our discussion of evolution and involution, we have seen that you and I must be part of the cosmic consciousness, cosmic life, cosmic mind. Got involved, and we must complete the circle and go back to this cosmic intelligence, which is God. This cosmic intelligence is what people call Lord or God, or Christ or Buddha, or Brahman, what materialists perceive as force, and the agnostics as that infinite, inexpressible beyond, and we are all parts of that. And Cat's at the window. I'm going to let him in real quick. Come on in, buddy. Here we go. All right. Come on in.
I don't know if all of you are aware of this wonderful cat that lives with Ramadas. His name is Shiva, and he's
Yes,
just
he was-
the most remarkable animal.
He was howling very loudly. I don't know if you heard him, but now I've let him in, so he's
No,
happy.
no,
Oh, there he is.
we
Hello,
didn't
Shiva.
hear.
Hello, everybody. Here's my wonderful cat.
Hello there, Shiva.
Okay, out you go. All right, back to our text. This
Well,
is the second.
since we're stopped, and we do just have now just a few minutes left. It's 52. Yeah, we have just 8 minutes left. Are there any other comments from your own experience or wisdom, or any concerns or questions that you would like to raise based on what the Swami is saying? This, if contemplated on and then concentrated on, the key ideas here, and then the ones that seem most pregnant to your mind are brought into meditation, reveal much. And that in that revelation, you are soothed, reassured, because you see so clearly that this is all going on, that all of the manifest part of you is part of it, but the unmanifest part, that of which Saguna Brahman is the face, the witness, is not a part. It simply is, that unmanifest, impersonal aspect. And when I say you will be soothed and reassured and lose your concerns about things like loss and death, that's the reason to study these things, not just to learn what the Swami has to say. Of course, that's good. But the key ideas, when you take them in, because all the source of all of our knowledge is within us. All of our deep ability to understand, and that goes beyond understanding. It means to stand with this knowledge. And that's what That's the reason for meditation, for contemplation, concentration, and meditation. And when we do that, when we reach within, when we sink into the silence, within that silence, there is knowledge, but it's not knowledge that can be put into words. This is why the Swami struggles so to come up with words to give us the information on which to contemplate, concentrate, and meditate. So anything else from anyone about any of that?
I find it interesting that the Swami says, but the wheel goes on, and so long as bodies are in the wheel, it can be absolutely and mathematically foretold where they will go, but not so of the souls.
Yes,
So
because the souls are this. Our souls are not part of this manifestation.
Hmm.
Our souls are that is beyond this manifestation and witnessing this manifestation. This is what's meant by Saguna Brahman or Saguna Atman. And we experience it first as this sense of being the witness of what's happening around us, like watching a movie.
So here, the soul is with, it's not the causal body, or there's the physical body and the subtle body and the causal body. The soul is more like the causal body than the.
No, the soul is what gives rise to the causal body.
Hmm.
The soul is not contained within the koshas. You named off the koshas, or three of them. The soul is not contained, but it is what gives rise to the koshas that make up your personal experience, the universe you inhabit. Much of the universe we share, but each of us is utterly unique, utterly and completely unique. And so your universe will not be identical with anyone else's any more than you physically. Our physical representation, our physical form, is just an outward manifestation of our uniqueness. The soul is not a participant. The soul is not within manifestation. We, as the divine being, manifested this in a manner of speaking, in order that we might witness it.
Brother Shankara,
Yes?
about 1 minute ago, you used the expression, our souls are beyond, and after that, the rest of it I missed. Our souls are beyond what? You were saying something?
Beyond manifestation.
Oh, thank you.
Beyond Saguna Atman, Atman with attributes, and its primary attribute is its witness state. But it also, as Krishna says in the Gita, in witnessing these things, sanctions them. all of it, without exception.
What exactly do you mean by sanction? I mean, can you explain?
There is nothing that happens that should not happen.
Oh, means it's will.
No,
All-
not will, not
No.
will.
Oh,
Sanction sanctions it. It witnesses it all. The bad, the good, the indifferent, the ugly, the splendid, the gross, all of it. All of it, without exception. And it does not say yea or nay
I see.
to any of it.
Okay.
It simply witnesses it. And as Krishna says in the Gita, and thereby sanctions it.
Okay.
Look up the word sanction in the dictionary. You'll
Okay.
find it.
Thank you.
Mhm. Anything else? All right, well, we'll pick it up there next week. Any final thought from anyone?
Yeah.
Somebody mark the place, please.
Brother Shankara, just a quick item, please.
Yes.
I know we are up for time now. Our souls are beyond manifestation, and our souls are witness, but our souls cannot be the witness to the manifestation because the manifestation itself is beyond the soul.
The soul is beyond manifestation. The soul is beyond time, space, and causation. But there is this aspect of the soul called Atman. The face of Atman we can speak of, and Krishna speaks of it, and Sri Ramakrishna speaks of it. For that matter, Chaitanya gestures toward it, is the witness. Is the witness. It experiences everything that goes on, but not in the same sense that you or I experience things, because you or I, in our gross form, we experience things and they pull us this way and tug at us that way and make us feel good or bad or this and that. No, the witness, none of that. They simply witness. The Atman simply witnesses. Again, it's something that is, this whole witness phenomenon is something for you to not, I'm not pointing to you, Vijay, but for each of us to take within and find that witness within ourselves. It's self-evident once you find it. You say, oh, that's always been there. I've always known this. I've always known this aspect of myself. And then you become more and more identified with that rather than with the being that is within time, space, and causation. And this is what Krishna means by breaking yoga, this union of your awareness with your witness self, results in the breaking of contact with pain. It doesn't mean that pain doesn't exist. It means that you witness it, you experience it differently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone before we close? Okay. Om Hari Om. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved Lord, lead us from this realm of confusion and misunderstanding to thine abode of clarity and understanding. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. That is that which lights you through and through with its everlasting, shining presence is Saguna, Atman, the abiding, eternal aspect of yourself, the immortal aspect of yourself. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. May we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. So until Saturday, everyone, this Sunday's talk will be on setting aside the mirror. That is to say, that aspect of ourselves that is the mirror, is the witness. Setting aside that, and this is of course this is Advaita Vedanta. This is the extreme position of the Jnana yogis. So that's what we'll talk about this Sunday. And it's very difficult to talk about. Any final thoughts or concerns from anyone? All right, dears. We shall see one another again on Saturday for those of you who come, or on Sunday. Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you,
Good
Guru.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks.